I gotta start looking equal weight. But I also have to tell you that when I see NVIDIA underneath it going up, David, I think they can't. They just can't get away from
you can't keep up. What do you make of that significant rebound that we've seen in the stock in the last, let's call it, 4 sessions?
Well, okay, I think that there was an article in a publication that came out over a weekend. I'm not going to mention the name of the publication, which said that their major product, Blackwell, could be very late, and that is going to set back the hyperscalers, the tech titans. I have, as I said, from the day that story came out, not been able to verify a single word of that story. Not one.
Many people and those who were supportive responded immediately saying it's not a demand issue anyway. So even if Blackwell is delayed, you sell more H100s and
at a very high margin. So
but you think the stock got hit on that?
Yes, I do. And it was kind of, look, you've been around. You guys have been around. Sometimes there's stories that come out and they cause a ruckus. And they're very hard to check out because it's quiet period. Now, look, I have a great relationship with NVIDIA. I'm proud of that over multiple years. One of the things I'm proud of is that they won't tell me anything. They said, listen, we're in a quiet period. And then you say, well, guys, I just need to verify. No, we're in a quiet period. And after a while, you realize they're not budging because that's not who they are. So they were a pitiful, helpless giant when that article came out. Not unlike the United States at one point under President Nixon. And I do feel that that's what got it.
Meantime, you got this Foxconn profit beat. Profit up 6. Reiterate the full year guide. Demand for AI servers. Some commentary about the GB200.
Yeah, look, yes, that is a very expensive piece.
But development apparently on track.
Right, it's on track. And I think that when you see stuff like that, you keep saying, okay, then why did some publication come out and say that everybody's going to be hurt by this being off track, knowing that you can't refute that story? See, I can't refute that, which made me incredibly frustrated because everything that I had been told was, Jim, it's on plan from the last time we said it. Nothing's changed, but we can't talk about it.
We're back to Blackwell now.
Well, yeah, because the Blackwell...
Just making sure. I just want to...
No, because Blackwell,
not Foxconn.
They had come up with a plan. They didn't say it was going to ship in volume. They didn't. They never said it. So suddenly you have this straw man. They're going to ship in volume. It turns out they're late and it's going to crush Google. Even worse than Cantor. Jonathan Cantor from the antitrust.
NVIDIA continues its ascent, Jim.
Well,
the
shorts are going to have to stop NVIDIA. The shorts have to try. They have articles negative about NVIDIA. They talk about Blackwell being negative. They talk about everybody who buys their stuff not doing well. And I come back and say, well, the biggest buyer is Meta. How's Meta doing as a stock? How's Meta AI doing? Mark Zuckerberg decided, you know what, I'm going to win this. I'm going to win this. And why do you think? I mean, everyone thinks that, Amazon's got to spend because of Google. No, they got to spend to keep up with Mark. And they'll tell you that offline. It's like, oh, my God, you know what? I got to catch up to Mark. It isn't like they're all just sitting here saying we need mutually assured destruction of our bottom lines. This guy, in his conference call, talked about Meta AI. And anyone who's been on it since then has not come back to the rest of it. It's so good. It's funny, too. It's funny. It has a sense of humor.
We all need humor
it's
in our
ironic.
Lives. Really?
By the way,
those things. That's not easy to do.
If you go on the On site, that is a great one. They have a bot. I told him, I said, I'm tired of getting the little pebbles in my shoe. Do you have that new one with the no pebbles? It goes like, it's just, the pebbles in the shoe. We've dealt with that, but we understand. I mean, I'm talking to these bots, and they're much better than human. Remember when the bot was like when you knew you were talking to a bot? I was asking Mr. Hoffman from On. I said, am I talking to a bot or a human? He would not reveal that.
Interesting.
Shares of NVIDIA now up more than 15% from the August lows. Let's get to Dominic Chu with more on what's moving. Morning, Dom.
All right, so Carl, that trade for NVIDIA has been a huge bounce, and it just speaks to that mega cap technology, Mag 7 type trade overall. So let's put it in context for you. With the NVIDIA stock on a year-to-date basis, obviously a very big move higher, but the bounce that you're seeing here over the last week has been, as you said, a massive move higher. So let's take a look at the last week's worth of trade within the 3 best performers in that Mag 7 mega cap trade. It has been NVIDIA up about 16% on a 1-week basis, Meta Platforms up 8.5%, and Tesla up around 5 to 6%. Your 3 biggest gainers on a 1-week basis in that Mag 7 trade. But With regard to NVIDIA, it's indicative of a broader trade in semiconductors, those computer chip stocks, because they are among the best performers on that big bounce 1 week basis. Look at names like Supermicrocomputer up 13%, Broadcom up 14%, Micron up 13% as well just in the last week, and then some of the other ones rounding out the top semiconductor trades as well. Take a look at names like KLA Corporation, 12.5% gain, Applied Materials, and then Lam Research. So it kind of tells you a little bit, David, about that kind of leading edge of what's been bouncing back the most. It's been computer chips. And of course, David, we know that some traders like to look to that semiconductor trade as a possible leading indicator for the rest of the technology trade, and by extension, the bigger NASDAQ and S&P 500 as well. So keep an eye on chips. I'll send things back over to you.
Joe, NVIDIA's up 20% in a week. Are we back to talking about these unbelievable moves in a very short period of time for NVIDIA?
So I'm going to give you a correlation that we went back and we looked at over the last 10 years. And the correlation is this. When you have elevated bond market volatility, which I think everyone would agree we've had in the month of August, you have nearly a 45 basis point range for a 10-year. Where does the market in that environment tend to gravitate towards? Exactly what our friend Tony Pasquarello will tell us, the sword and the shield. In those types of elevated volatility environment, you're going to find that the mega caps outperform. And it's not so much a technology story. It's a mega cap story, because if it was a technology story, we wouldn't be talking about Twilio down 20% year to date, Roku down 38% year to date, DocuSign down 6% year to date, Unity Software, everyone used to love Unity Software, down 61% year to date. It's the characteristic of what the mega caps are in an elevated volatility environment. It's the sword and the shield. Thank you, Tony Pasquarello.
Rob, NVIDIA, which is, you're new to the party here, right? I'm curious, just in your mind, how you've witnessed this thing trade just since you recently got in on the pullback that we saw.
So as you know, Scott, we bought a half a position. We said that because we thought there was some more risk to the downside in the name, but we wanted to get at least some exposure. We were patiently waiting for it to reach a valuation that we were comfortable with, and we saw it get close earlier this month, but it didn't quite get there. We avoid companies that are in the top quintile of valuation, but we said, you know, volatility creates opportunity, and you have to be prepared to move. It just so happened that we had an expensive stock we got out of. We ended up buying it. This is one of the highest quality technology companies out there, with 78% gross margins, 65% operating margins, generates enormous free cash flow with no debt, and CapEx is just 1% of sales. So we felt like we had to do something, right? And we did. And who knows, we might get another opportunity, but we're certainly happy with a plus 20% move, because we literally bought it on the lows on the show that day.
Speaking of earnings, and lastly, we have NVIDIA looming, right, on August 28th. How do you feel about mega cap tech right here, and how consequential, I guess the right word is, do you think that earnings report is going to be?
I think it is. I think that NVIDIA always has to be a consequential report. You know, being at or near the highest cap in the market. I think the question in the back of everyone's mind is AI all that it is hyped up to be? Corporations are putting in AI a little slower. That Goldman Sachs, John Hunziker could say they put out a report saying a bit slower than we expected. If that narrative gets going and earnings don't keep on breaking records, we could see more of a correction there.
All right, let's talk about NVIDIA and the rest of the market. So today, the market was relatively flat with some choppy price action earlier in today's trading session. As I mentioned in yesterday's video, we were expecting CPI this morning, and CPI was kind of a mixed bag today. Year-over-year headline inflation came in slightly lower than consensus estimates, while month-over-month inflation and core CPI came in line with expectations. But although month-over-month came in at consensus estimates, it was still technically higher than last month's numbers. So CPI today was not overly bullish and not overly bearish. It was just kind of a mixed report. And that mixed sentiment is clear clearly visible when you look at the price action in the S&P today. As I've been saying for a few videos now, NVIDIA's price action in the short term will be largely dependent on the rest of the market. If the market moves lower, then it will weigh down on NVIDIA, but if the market can simply remain calm between now and NVIDIA's earnings on August 28th, then I think the stock likely trades higher between now and then. It really does depend on the rest of the market though. Right now, market participants are dealing with concerns about recession, concerns about conflicts abroad, concerns about the unwinding of the carry trade, etc. So if you're trading NVIDIA between now and earnings on the 28th, then it is very important to stay informed about all of these matters because again, NVIDIA's price action in the short term is largely dependent on the rest of the market. Hopefully the market can just remain calm long enough for NVIDIA to run in anticipation of earnings, but we will see if that happens or not. Looking at tomorrow, we get a slew of economic data, and we have multiple Fed officials scheduled to speak. So as for tomorrow's price action, it depends on the market's reaction to all this economic data. Looking briefly at NVIDIA's chart, I do like what I'm seeing overall. As I mentioned yesterday, we do have a cross on the MACD on the daily time frame, which is very encouraging to see. We also broke back above the 21-day moving average, which is the yellow line on your screen, and that too is very encouraging. Short term, we are preparing to test a couple of important moving averages. First, on the 4-hour time frame, you can see that NVIDIA was battling today, trying to get above 180-day moving average. Additionally, we are approaching the 50-day moving average on the daily time frame. That is the purple line on your screen. Both the 50-day MA on the daily time frame and the 180-day MA on the 4-hour time frame are very important moving averages. So ideally, I would like to see a clear break above both moving averages on strong volume. The ideal scenario would be that NVIDIA breaks above, comes back down to retest the moving averages as support, and then moves higher. That's the ideal scenario. However, if we don't get above the 50-day MA on the daily time frame and we get rejected there, then we may see some more red action in the short term before moving higher. If we do get a strong break above the 50-day MA on the daily time frame, then that would be very encouraging to see because again, the 50-day MA on the daily time frame is a very powerful moving average that is closely watched by many traders and investors. Long term, I am bullish on the future of NVIDIA as more hyperscalers like Amazon, Meta, Microsoft, Alphabet, and more all guide up their capex spending on AI by billions of dollars. If Blackwell is delayed, it doesn't really concern me about the long-term future of NVIDIA. Demand for NVIDIA's products is so great right now that even if there is a delay in Blackwell, they can just sell more H100 GPUs in the interim, and they would likely just guide higher for future quarters in which they expect Blackwell to ship in volume. At least that's how I see it. Sure, there will likely be a point sometime in the future at which growth slows. This is a recurring trend whenever there is a new breakthrough technological advancement. But here's the thing. We don't know when that day will come. It may be a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. We don't know when. But as for now, demand for NVIDIA's products is strong and growing as more mega-cap tech giants increase their capex spending on AI by billions of dollars. With all of that being said, I hope you're having a great day, and I'm curious to hear your thoughts about NVIDIA in the comments below. Please leave a like on this video so more people will see it. And while you're down there, please consider subscribing. It's free, and you can always change your mind. Thanks for watching, and hopefully I'll see you in the next video.